Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And if you guys are waiting there, I'm sorry. I had a little bit of a deal going on with a lady. I may be interrupted by my phone just to reply to her. I told her I could only wait for her till 7:30, right? And she would be out of luck if she couldn't be here before then because, right, I am committed. Hello, Owen. How are you doing tonight? How's your week been going? And how's your mom? How's your mom doing? Hello, Tammy. Hello, Tammy. Yeah, how is your mom? And thank you guys for giving me the thumbs up right off the hop. I really appreciate that. Lots of times we get into the conversations and stuff. And, when we're in the conversation, sometimes we forget to give those thumbs up. I only know that because quite often after I sit in on somebody's contribution and the live is over or the post is over, I just go right into the next one and I don't even think. And lots of times I have to go back into my history on Google and find the video game just to give the thumbs up. It's really important. I don't always throw my comments in there. I don't always, you know, put in my 2 bits because I don't know why I don't do it. It serves me. I do believe it keeps me, I don't want to say incognito because, I'm not somebody who's afraid not to be seen. But at the same time, there is a reason for it. And I've never really delved into deep as to why, even though sometimes I do wonder, like, oh, you could have said something nice, Cindy, you know. So I came up with this policy for myself that if the content is exceptional, that's why I appreciate the thumbs up even before I start yibber yabbering because you don't know if it's going to be exceptional. You're just appreciating me for me, and I think that's pretty amazing. But I don't beat myself up in making sure that I say something nice in every video that I go into. And when I'm saying that, the first thing that comes into my mind is our Tammy here, right? Every night she's in my videos. She's watching something. And why do I know that? Because she makes a point of saying something nice, contributing a comment to whatever video she's watching in the moment. And not only that, when I go into my analytics and then I go into the comments to reply to her comment, right? Because if she took that time to say something nice to me, I'm going to absolutely go in and show her my appreciation in that. I notice that she shows her appreciation to others, other people who have commented on that video. I was actually wondering, was it yesterday or the day before? And I went in to comment on the comments, and you said something on somebody else's comment. Oh, you said happy belated birthday to somebody. And I had to giggle because that person's birthday was 7 years ago. So I don't know if you noticed that, Tammy, when you wished that person happy birthday. But when I looked when the comment had been sent to this person, it was 7 years ago, and she just wrote underneath, "Happy belated birthday." I giggled to myself. It was something that was really quite heartwarming, to tell you the truth, right? It was really heartwarming. I hope everybody is doing great. Did Owen let me know how his mom was doing? Hi, Owen. Da, 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 da. My week was okay. Was out in the yard cleaning up. Mom is okay. She's doing better after her she was in rehab. What was she working on? Can I ask? I'm going to assume because she is mature that it would be probably her hands or her legs possibly, that she's probably having some difficulties in moving around. Actually, if you guys don't know, I'm sure Owen doesn't mind me saying, but his mother is in her 90s, right? It's amazing. In my family, this is the first generation where all the kids have lived well into their 50s. I'm saying well into their 50s. We have one sister that's still in her 50s. I'm looking forward to saying we all made it into our 60s. But in my family, because heart disease is highly prevalent, right? There's a lot of congenital heart failure going back. I don't know how long. I don't know how long it's been going on, uh, but it is kind of amazing. My mother was in fairly good health besides her rheumatoid arthritis. Uh, on my mother's side, there's quite a bit of diabetes, and I have two sisters with the diabetes and two of them with the arthritis. Tracy lucked out and I actually talked to Tracy today. It was the first time I had talked to her in 2 weeks. I phone and I message that girl. She is just stubborn, right? She's just a stubborn bird. But it's her situation has been getting her down. She's feeling it emotionally, and I can tell when she breaks down to give me a call. I know that she's going through it a little bit, right? But if you guys don't know, Tracy has been going through the ringer, not just this year, but it's been going on for years. And each one of these battles that my sister has had to go and face, she has faced, and she has been doing absolutely amazing. But she's tired, right? Who wants to battle all the time, right? Whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally, but she has been battling and she has been the victor in every single one. And so she messaged me today and she was really sad because she's housebound because she broke her foot. She fell in the house. She has her diabetes, right? She fell and she broke her foot and she walked around on that foot for 2 weeks before finally her leg swelled up like it was a watermelon, and they took her to the hospital and she realized that her foot was broken in many places. They put on a boot because she had some kind of sore or something, but she's going in to get the cast put on it next week, and she says she'll be able to move around a little bit. And I could tell in her voice, right? Being highly sensitive, being empathic, right? We sense when people are not feeling good, when people are sad or feeling down. We feel when they're happy and doing good and on top of things too. But like I said, my sister just hasn't been in it for a year. She's been in it for years with different things, right? As these things happen, they may have come up in the discussion because they're part of my experience too, but they are part of her past, a part of her story now. So, in the present, unless it was in the present, it isn't something for me to really vocalize out there. But to tell you, right, you guys know, you guys have been with me. She really has been through it all. And, I have to appreciate, the things that each one of us go through. Being highly sensitive, we kind of tend to think of others and not think of ourselves. So I'm going to recognize in myself that it hasn't been a great few years for myself, but not like what she has been going through. Sometimes I think it's God. Sometimes I think it's whoever or whatever out there burning the narcissism out of us. I really believe, right? Because I do come from a family of two extremes, right? The highly sensitive, the empathic, and the headstrong, the stubborn, the narcissistic, right? And the one that's been taught not to show our feelings. And we are all members of that family. And even though we have been, what do you call that, designated in different archetypes, right? In different archetypes, right? We were all brought up not to show our emotions, right? To tough it out, to zip it up, to mind our own, to turn the other cheek. Some really messed up kind of idealism, but that comes from our past, that comes from our upbringing. And just like that congenital heart failure, it comes from the past. It comes from grandparents and great grandparents, right? To hold up, to never give up. It's a good trait. It has kept our family going to the point where we can actually see and experience the change in our bloodline, right? That we're thinning out that heart disease. I don't take any medication at all, not even aspirin. I took an aspirin a couple of months back when I hurt my back. I took an aspirin. It didn't do too much good, so I pulled myself. I pulled myself off of it. Sorry, this is this lady that I had sold. I sold her this. Oh, it's huge. It's a great big giant Bubba mug. If you guys hung out with me for any length of time, you know Bubba's one of my favorite brands. But I don't have enough friends to use this in any way. And this is great for like sports teams, soccer teams, baseball teams, summer parties, backyard weddings, going camping, right? It's still too much for me. It's still too much for me. So I'm selling it, and I picked it up, I think, for $6, and I sold it for 30. I told her she could make it here tonight. She could have it for $25, but she didn't make it here. She didn't make it on time. So what's that saying? You snooze, you lose. She wasn't only right? She's messaging me now, 15 minutes later. Let's just see. Ha! She wrote, I'm here. She just wrote here, sorry, I'm here. Oh my goodness. Okay, can you guys wait 5 minutes if I run down? Okay, I'm going to run down, you guys. I'm sorry. I will be right down. Darn. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'll be really fast. I won't even be 5 minutes. Go make yourself a cup of coffee, okay? Oh, my goodness. I hate doing this to you guys. I wish I could put some, like, what do you call that? Intro music on. I'll be right back. I'm really sorry, you guys. I'm not sure she even speaks English. Let me know if you're still there hanging out with me. I've never done anything like that before. She said that she was here. I went downstairs. I messaged her back. I said, "Where are you? I'm standing here waiting for you." And she goes, "Oh, I'm just leaving now." And are you kidding me? And I says, "Well, I'm not available." Now she just says I was just at your place. Oh well. It's too much. Okay. Oh, thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate. I've never done that before. I'm going to just turn my volume down because she's obviously going to try and communicate with me. And oh, I'm sorry about that. I tried to rush as fast as I could, but this is, and I got somebody at my door. Hold on. Sorry. Just wait. I'm busy. I'm doing a live show. Sorry, Rick. Oh. It doesn't end. That's all you can do is just smile and laugh through it. That's all you can do. And this is another gentleman, and yeah, he needed to speak to me, but I think I need to speak to him too, really. Okay, you guys, I don't know where I was in that conversation. Let's for a moment and get past that moment. Kind of crazy. I don't have usually a home where it's like Grand Central Station. It's usually not the norm for me, and and yeah, today is one of those days where everybody and their dog is connecting with me in my own personal life, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that, right? But not when I'm doing my not when I'm doing my life. Okay, so I'm going to come into my comments. I'm going to come into my comments here and see what's going on. Um how far back? Oh my goodness, you guys are just yapping away already. Um Cindy, I truly feel for your sister Tracy. I know it surely isn't easy. I do keep her in my prayers and thoughts and tell her that I will be praying for her with her surgery there. She's not going to have surgery. That's some good thing. They told her that her wound healed up pretty good. So they're just going to put a cast on her next week. And, but there is good news in that. And that's what I said to my sister is that, there is always something good in our life. And when things are going bad, when things are going hairy, scary, you have to appreciate what's going well, right? What's going well. And I said, Tracy, what's going well with you right now? She goes, "Oh, nothing. It's just all the misery stuff, right?" And then I says, "Well, what about your license? Did you hear anything back, about when you're going to be getting your license back?" She goes, "Oh, I got my license back." I said, "There's some good news, Tracy. Why are you concentrating just on the bad news? Concentrate on what's going good." And I congratulated on her because there was a good chance that she wasn't going to get her driver's license back. And she worked at it. She worked at it and she was determined to get it done. And she did. And so I said, you got to look at the good things, right? You got to look at the positive in what's going on in your life, especially when there are not good things happening in your life, right? There is always something that we can be grateful for, right? Always something that we can be grateful for. I'm grateful that you guys waited for me while I ran downstairs to sell this big Bubba cooler that I have here, right? Now, this woman, she's on her way here again. She just messaged me again to say that she's on her way. I told her, please don't. I'm not available, right? So it is what it is, and that you have to appreciate the good things, right? The good things is I'm going to sell the cooler. I'm going to put a few dollars into my pocket, put a few groceries into the cupboard. I'm grateful for that. And if it means a little bit of hairy scary, it means a little bit of hairy scary. And at the same time, right? The only thing is in that appreciation is when other people are disrupted in, right? But then you get to see me in that movement. You don't get to see something different. You get to see me come in and yibber yabber, but right when you see the action going on. And I felt that because I went live. I interrupted you the first time. I wasn't going to allow it to happen a second time. And I know Rick, he's been around for a while. He'll be right back, right? Um, okay, let's come down into thank you guys. Thank you everybody. So appreciated that you think of Tracy like that. Um you're gonna talk about. Oh, that's why the comments were there. I will look at your painting, Cindy, and things on your wall. That's the idea that why I am so eclectic, right? Because sometimes in holding a conversation, it is difficult. That people can have something, and if there's nothing to talk about, you could say, "Oh, where did you get that, Cindy?" Or "Where did you get that?" Right? And it's an opener for conversation. I'm glad I haven't sold all those things yet, but they will go eventually. I down packed. I think I found the trailer and the vehicle that I'm looking at, right? How they're going to manifest, I have no idea, but I did the work, I did the research, and I whittled it down to the last few on the list. Actually, I didn't have too much on the list of vehicles, but if I was going to do a vehicle, and I thought, well, I could get an RV, but those things are so big. So when you're doing your everyday day to day, you don't want to take a big RV to the grocery store and stuff. But I thought, if you get a trailer, a little trailer, you can take the trailer off and use your vehicle for doing your daily business, right? Your everyday things. And I thought that was a bet, and it would be probably a little bit less expensive, right? And yeah, I had a list of things very specific that I wanted for my RV. Not to go off too track, but we've been off track since I came live tonight. But these were the things that were really important to me. I wanted an island bed. I wanted a bed that was there all the time, right? I don't care if I have a couch. I can always use a camping chair, right? Or I can have a bench or something. But having a couch is not a big thing for me. But having a bed that I can just have as a bed all the time, that as I get more mature, that I'm not going through that hassle of opening and closing and right latches and lifting things up. Um, I didn't want any slide outs, and the slide outs are on the vehicles that kind of put the trailer out a little bit, and it makes it more roomier on the inside. I didn't want one of those. um, for one, they're usually on bigger trailers, and it's just me, so I don't need a big trailer. Number two is those things break all the time. They're mechanical, and if they break, they're very expensive to repair. So I didn't want anything like that. I wanted a dry bath. not one of those little showers where the toilet is sitting in the shower and then you shower in the same spot. I wanted them separate, right? I wanted them separate. And because I'm doing provincial parks, for the most part, they have washrooms and outhouses and stuff. So it's not, the bathroom isn't a priority. But if I do have a bathroom, it has to be a dry, the shower has to be separate. I want an oven, right? I want an oven. I don't just want a microwave. Like when I'm cooking for myself, I like to cook nice meals. So it has to feel like an oven at the very least. And they do the convection oven combination air fryer. They call them air fryers. I've never had an air fryer, not sure how they work, but people seem to love the air fryers. So it's a combination microwave, oven, and air fryer. So I'd be good with that. And they usually put those in the trailers. I also want solar panels on the roof, right? Because if I go off grid, if I go out in the bush, I want to be able to have electricity, right? And even if it's not uh, too cloudy, you still get a little bit drizzle in. So it's important to have batteries, right? Lithium batteries, but also to have some solar panels to bring in that little bit of extra. Well, it's not free electricity, right? After the main investment of putting the solar panels on, then it is cheap electricity. Has to have an air conditioner, right? The vehicle, you guys know I am a cold person. And if I retire, I'll be on the road all the time, just not in the fall and in the colder days. I'll be there in the summertime. And that heat can be a lot. So air conditioning would be important. It would have to be a double axle. I know you guys don't know, like all of you know what an axle is, but it's extra support underneath the vehicle. So I want two axles, and they usually have four tires on the trailer then, but a double axle for extra support because you guys know me. I take my vehicles all over the place, and if I'm going up hills and mountains and rivers and stuff, I want to feel safe. I don't want to feel that I'm going to get trapped or stuck somewhere and not able to help myself out. Lots of windows. You guys know I love my big picture window, right? So it's important for me to have lots of windows, lots of light, skylights, even as much windows as I could get. Lightweight, right? So I'm looking at a small trailer, not a pop up, but I'm looking for a small trailer. Um, and an outdoor kitchen would be kind of nice because I like being outdoors. I have a camp stove. I'll probably won't even be using the stove in the trailer, but I'll be doing most of my cooking outdoors. And even though I have a camp stove, if it had an outdoor kitchen which slides out of the side of the trailer, that would be kind of nice with a little griddle or something, right? Starlink, right? Because I have to be editing and uploading videos, right? If I'm doing provincial parks, I want to be filming all my outdoor adventures. So it's really, really important for me to have Starlink, and that's right, rural internet, right? That's a Elon Musk thing. And so, yeah, Starlink would be very important that I have that. And it's kind of pricey in that too, a couple $100 a month. That's not even including the installation. The installation is really expensive. And then a bike rack, right? So that I can get on my bike and go for little tours of the campgrounds. And that's right, not necessarily to use the bikes on the trails. When I'm on the trails, I want to walk, right? I want to walk. I'll be doing the Walk with Me Cindy Jean videos, right? So those were the prerequisites that I wanted for my trailer. And today I thought I found it and I was so excited. But when I went back in to do the research to make sure it was the perfect one, I recognized that it wasn't a double axle. And it's very important because if your axle breaks, not only is it very expensive to replace, but it also could leave you in a bad situation if you're out in a bush or out in a river or something, if your axle breaks. So yeah, it has to be a double axle. So I found the exact same one, but it's 2 feet bigger than the original one that I had picked. So the same brand, same setup. It's just got 2 extra feet, and that 2 extra feet on that trailer gives me a little bit bigger bed, like a regular bed, and it gives me a little bit bigger shower, I think, or a little bit extra storage. I can't remember. But I was happy. I was happy I didn't have to go in and do that whole process again because you guys, like, this is the research and the work. Everything in a highlight is, and I got pages here of all the ones that I've been looking at because I was looking at different kinds, right? Looking at RVs, looking at trailers, looking at 4x4s, looking at the adventure trailers, even because they're fairly small. And it took me a while to find this one. So it was nice that I didn't have to start from scratch. I just had to stay in the same brand, but go 1 feet bigger. And then I had to double check that the vehicle that I was looking at and the vehicle I had chosen was the Jeep Gladiator. If you're going to go big, you're going to get what you want, right? The Jeep Gladiator can pull my little trailer, so that was the vehicle that I had chosen in that. And I've been working on this for a couple of months. It kind of fills in the time in between the lessons when I get too punch drunk from all the information that I take in, that I can go off and do something a little bit different, right? So it's just not the metal detecting videos, that I can do different things that kind of take me away from the heavy and the scary. Yeah. I feel bad for that, ladies, kind of in the back of my mind. I don't like to be disappointing people. It's a trait, being highly sensitive and empathic. We don't like to disappoint people. We don't like to let people down. But I'm not going to feel too bad because she let me down and she did a little sneakity sneakity that took me away from my live show, right? And I had to go downstairs for nobody to even be there. So yeah, that was kind of inconvenient for not only me, it was inconvenient for you guys too. But I appreciate that you had all kinds of doodads. Was there anything that you guys saw behind me that kind of caught your interest, that you had any questions or you wanted to know the story on? These are all my specials behind me. They make me happy. They've been with me for, well, some of them have only been with me a few years. Some of them, like the crystals, I dug out of the ground in one of my adventures to Ontario, and some of them were scores in that little thrift store that I used to work at, and some of them were gifts, and they have little gift stories to them, and some of them they just say Cindy, and when I saw them I just had to get them. I haven't bought anything new in probably 6 or 7 years, besides underwear, maybe. I have not bought anything. Oh, and groceries, obviously. I haven't bought anything new. I furnish my home. I dress myself. Everything is thrifted. Even in this dress, you guys, this is a 1960s Hawaiian. It was like a tourist outfit when you went to Hawaii, when airplanes first came out and people started taking trips to Hawaii. These were the dresses that the women would buy in the Hawaiian shops, right? Their little Hawaiian muumuus. It's one of my favorite summer dresses, you guys. We are in such a heat wave. I'm not sure if you guys, like Andrew and Owen and Tammy, if you're going to get this heat wave, but we are well in our 30s. Like in our 30s is like the mid 90s in Fahrenheit. Super, super hot. We're about to go into some thunderstorms and stuff for the next few days. And they're getting bombarded in Alberta right now. They're actually saying that they're going to get 50 centimeters of snow up on the peaks of the mountains in Alberta. The Rocky Mountains run through Alberta, right? So those mountains are really tall. So they're still getting snow way up there. But this heat wave that we went into, oh my goodness. I went downstairs to sell my Bubba cooler and to meet that woman. I looked outside. Everybody was out there from this building, right? We have lots of vulnerable in this building. I'm very grateful. I didn't mention how grateful I am for my air conditioner, but oh my goodness, super grateful for my air conditioner, right? A lot of people in this building don't have an air conditioner, so staying outside is about as comfortable as they're going to get, right? Okay, let's come down into the comments here. Doing pretty well, Tammy. Tomorrow morning, I see a doctor about your knees, hips, and arthritis. Oh my goodness, Andrew. I hope I can keep the knees and the hips. Why are they talking about replacing them? Are they talking about replacing them, Andrew? You let us know, right? Oh my goodness, if you're going into the hospital for surgery, don't be keeping it secret. Don't be stubborn and self sufficient like my sister Tracy, who always lets us know at the last minute that she's not feeling good. That's our upbringing, though, right? We had a pretty tough upbringing that made us into tough kids and tough adults, right? Adults that don't show our pain, show our weaknesses, right? To show our fears, right? And our needs. And that's the way that we were brought up. It's kind of put us in a survival mode. But in this world that we live in, right? It's probably a good trait to be in that state to some extent. It forces you to be self sufficient, but at the same time, it beats on us emotionally and mentally because we're doing it all by ourselves, right? We're doing it all by ourselves. So, Andrew, please, 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 if you're going in for an operation, any of you guys going for an operation, right? Or somebody close to you is going in for an operation, let us know so that we can throw some good cheer out there and be a little bit of support system. We have been a support system for years now, right? This little community that we built here. It's important that we share with each other. That's what family is all about, right? That's what friends do for each other. And it's important for us in this world that we live in to keep our softness, right? We don't want to live in a cold, calculated, right? Concrete world. And it just seems sometimes we move in to that direction. I was actually listening to a content creator today when he was talking about narcissism, that it's like the first steps into being computers, being analytical ourselves, right? That just shows that we don't take care of ourselves, not just take care of ourselves, but we don't take ourselves into consideration. And that's a big message of mine, right? That's a big message of mine to make sure at the very least that you take care of yourself. If you don't have anybody in your life to take care of you, you got to take care of yourself, right? It's making sure that you feel that you matter, that you're a cheerleader for yourself, that you're your best friend, that no matter what, you put one step in front of another and you just keep going, just like my sister Tracy, right? And I kind of grumble because she's family, right? So we don't want family to do things on their own. We don't want to be told after the fact something that somebody's gone through. So we get, it's like my mother. My mother never showed her emotions, her anger constantly. But some people show their emotions in that way where you only see and experience the anger in someone because that's the only way that they know how to express themselves, right? That's why I don't take it to heart so much when people crank off or get angry and stuff, right? I feel bad in the moment if I don't have something to contribute to make them feel better. But I'm getting better at that because I understand how this world works now, that we are all toughening up. We're all feeling like we're in it by ourselves. But when I say never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got, I just don't mean your friends and your family. I mean you, right? You are all you've got. So treat yourself that way. Treat yourself like you matter. Don't pound on yourself. Don't put yourself through that torture of the diets and right. But sometimes we do that. Like my sisters have to do that because of their diabetes that they don't get to have those treats. And it's sad, right? I have one sister who loves the carbohydrates and I have another sister who loves the the bakery treats and stuff, right? The whipping cream. And she's like me that way, like the sweets, the candy, that kind of stuff, right? And it breaks you down because sometimes you feel that's the joy in your life. And if you're brought up the way I was brought up, to me, that was punishment. When I was put on a diet, I felt like I was being punished, right? And who wants to do that to themselves, right? This is why when we go on diets, we should make those pretend treats, right? There were lots of them. I used to make, I'm going off the track a little bit, but this is a good example about not denying yourself. Okay, you can't have spaghetti and meatballs because it converts to sugar when you have diabetes. But did you know that you could shred cabbage and when you boil it, it's like spaghetti and you can make a beautiful spaghetti sauce and you can make your meatballs and have spaghetti and meatballs, right? It's still a treat and it gives you that mental and emotional sense that you're giving yourself a treat. I used to, when I make jello, when I go on diets, I make diet jello. But when I make the diet jello, I put one of those little containers, those little 4 packs of yogurts that you get. I put one of those containers of yogurt and I stir it in with the jello and I put it in the fridge. And when it firms up, it's like it's like a parfait. It's like pudding, right? Little things that you can trick yourself into doing for yourself uh, when you're punishing yourself, when you're not treating yourself well, because right, you count, you matter, we all matter, right? And we have to treat ourselves well, especially when we don't have people around us. right? You have to remember, never deny your own, because in the end, that's all you've got. And if you are your own, you are your own cheerleader, your own best friend, your own parent. There's a big one, right? Because when you grow up, lots of times you don't get that good parentage. Not out of anybody's fault, maybe somewhere. But that's evolution, right? That we just get to be better from one generation to the next. My sisters are beautiful parents. They have beautiful kids, right? And in the upbringing, in when I grew up, right, we all got designated our roles. And that was our role, whether it was golden child, whether it was scapegoat, right? Whether it was favorites, the baby of the family. And that's a little bit different than golden child, because golden child has it the toughest, right? Because they're the ones that are brought up to be the patriarch of the family, to carry on the family name, right? The favorite is the cute one. The favorite is the one who gets the bigger allowance, the little treats when they cry, right? The trips to concerts when the other kids didn't get it. I'm just thinking of all the things that my youngest sister, because she was the baby, she was the absolute favorite. But my sister Tracy was golden child. And there's a lot of responsibility in being the golden child, right? And she had that whipped out right underneath from underneath her when she's been going through all these issues. And it's noticed in our family, right? Especially when there's no more Christmas gatherings. We kind of manage to get together for a couple hours, but there's no Christmas dinner anymore as a family. No family trips and adventures and outings. Like, that's just cut down to a zero. We barely spend any time with each other anymore, right? So it's important when we're not spending time with other people that we spend that time with ourselves, right? But making ourselves feel good, not punishing ourselves. And if we do have to do things for our own well being and our self parenting, that at the very least we can have little tricks that will make us feel right. Even if we say this is going to hurt me more than it hurts me. Right? I never heard that saying I never heard that saying, but I never, that saying, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you. I never heard that ever. Not once was that ever expressed to me in any way. But that's the role of the scapegoat, isn't it? Right? But we're doing better in this generation and in the next generation going forward. And that is evolution. That's why I'm so happy that we made it into our well, we're going to be in our 60s in a couple of more years. Like, we're all as girls will have made it into our 60s. And that was something that never happened, right? My dad's parents, uh, right, 40s, everybody, aunts and uncles, everybody into their 40s. And then we bring new bloodline, and those illnesses, they kind of get filtered out a little bit, just get weaker and weaker and not so prevalent in the family. And there'll come a time where heart disease is non existent. Like I said, I don't even take an aspirin. I'm so grateful for my good health, right? But that's not to say that that good health is through the entire dynamics of my family. It certainly isn't, because we pick up these genes and that genes and different genes from each parent, and each one of us is so different, right? But yeah, in treating ourselves well. Andrew, you let me know if you have to have surgery. I want to know. I'll be I'll be not happy if you don't let me know that you have to go into the hospital, that I can at very least send you a get well card. That will, right? Um, Well, I really hope you can keep your knees and your hips too there, Andrew. Right? My mother had knee surgery and she had to have both knees done at the same time because we were only going to get her into the hospital once because she hated doctors. She hated hospitals and we knew we would never be able to get her into the hospital again. And so we told the doctor if there's any way you can do both knees at the same time, that would be much appreciated. All us rehabilitation and getting better, but we'll never ever be able to get her into the doctors or the surgeon ever again. We'll talk her into it this time. She won't have a choice because we'll threaten we'll never see her or talk to her again. So we'll get her in this time, but we'll never get her in again. And that was the best decision that we could have ever done for our mother to have that operation in both knees. Within 6 weeks, Andrew, she was mall walking. 6 weeks after she came home from her operation. I think she was in the hospital for about a week. When she 6 weeks, she was mall walking for exercise and never had any more pain. And that was because of her arthritis too. I don't know if your surgeries are because of the arthritis, but my mother's surgery in her knees was because of the arthritis. My sister too just had her hip done uh, last year or the year before. She's gone through the river. That poor woman. Yes, I understand you, Andrew. You're donating books or giving them away, etc., will be a blessing to others to read and enjoy and to learn from. Right? I've really been enjoying my little library. I will do a video. I'll do a little walk with me along the riverbank because it is by the river. It's in the city, but it's by the river. And I'll do a little walk with me and I'll show you that little library. It'll blow your mind away. This little library. It's just like a little room in a concrete pad along the street, and they did it in red plexiglass, and they've just lined the walls with bookshelves, and people just donate and collect books, and that's what I've been doing for my reading material. Oh, I just put my book. Oh, I put them over there. I put a fresh stack of books for donation on my side table here when I went to the grocery store to get fresh air. And it was hot. Oh my goodness, it was hot. But when I walked there, I knew I was going to walk by a little library that was in the back alley. And I walked by the little alley, the little library, and then I stuck the whole bunch of books into the bookshelf there, and then I got another stack here for the big walk-in one when I go for a little bike ride. Possibly tomorrow, if I'm going to go for a bike ride, it'll have to be tomorrow. It'll be still hot, but it will be cloudy tomorrow because the rain is coming. We're going to get a lot of rain. I hope we don't get the lightning, though, um, for the forest fires. I hear in BC the forest fires have already started in British Columbia. It's not even June yet. In June here in Manitoba, it's usually our rainy season. It rains a lot, but it's yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll go for a little walk tomorrow to the or a little bike ride down to the little library. Maybe I'll make a little bit of a walk with me and post that to my channel, and I'll let you guys know next Sunday. If it doesn't get suggested to you, I'll let you guys know next Sunday that I've uploaded it because those usually aren't much in editing. I start my walk and the video is just me walking and showing the city and showing the river. Wherever I am, I'm showing the scenery. But it is along the river, so it might make for a good walk with me video. Okay, Andrew says, I've been reading a very interesting book called Love, Laughter, and Tears My Hollywood Story by Adela Rogers St. John. Hmm, I don't recognize that name. Grew up and was a reporter in old Hollywood. Oh, okay, not an actress. But oh yeah, I like biographies. I like biographies, Andrew. I haven't read one for a while. Actually, I haven't read a biography in a couple of years. The last biography read was David Suzuki's biography, and it was so interesting. Oh my goodness. Just to see somebody else who's woke up to his own ideas, and it's in the process of how we learn, right? What takes our interest and our curiosity and how we move with that. I wish I had woken up a little bit earlier and just recognized the possibilities in my life that way. But yeah, I like the biographies. It gives you really great insights just in that understanding of how unique each and every one of us is, that none of us lives the same life, lives the same story, that each one of us definitely has something to contribute in their own experiences. Would you ever consider writing? I know you write, Andrew. Would you ever consider writing your biography, Andrew? Right? I would be interested to know that. But thank you, Owen. Yeah, let's just send Andrew a little bit of good cheer, right? Like that he gets through that appointment and everything is good, right? That everything is good. Operations aren't absolutely the worst thing, right? Innovation is expanding to a state where they're doing some incredible things, like incredible things. Oh my goodness. When I said that, I was just thinking, I guess I can't say anything about it because I couldn't say for sure if this gentleman has ever had plastic surgery, but I could say he looks like he's in his late 20s at the very most. And he just celebrated his 57th birthday. Like I was actually just totally flabbergasted. I would never have guessed his age in a million years. And he's a content creator on Instagram, and I find it so interesting. And I don't know if it's because he does plastic surgery because he is well to do, right? He can afford it if he wants to, or if he just takes really good care of himself, that he treats himself like he matters. And I can tell in his posts that he does treat himself very well. He doesn't deny himself too much or deny people that he cares about too much. Yeah, he's a very nice guy too. But yeah. Um The author also knew later stars such as Jean Harlow and Clark Gable. The book was published in 78. Oh, it's an old book too. Oh my goodness. I wonder if she was, yeah, so she must have been older too if it was from like the 40s or something that her story starts at. Uh You like the old books. Yeah, I picked up a few of old books too in this past week. I just put them here for later reading. These were two of them that I picked up for reading. The Ugly Boy, like Isaac Asimov, he was a I don't know, he was very much into science because I do have a book that he co contributed with Carl Sagan. So I know he's been around in the. I'm not sure if it's sci-fi because science, space, that's reality, right? But it sounded like a really interesting story, and this book was actually was written in the 70s. This one here, this one too, you can tell just by the cover that it was written in the 70s. I'd never heard of the author of this book, but supposedly he was very well known in the sci-fi stories. And this book is actually a story about the last group of humans that found a little spot on Earth somewheres where it's kind of survivable in the moment. I haven't read the story, so I can't tell you any much more than that. I just read the preface on the back and I says, "Oh, that looks really interesting." So I took that one. Haven't started it. I haven't started it yet. I started two different books. And I one of them was um the Da Vinci Code. I read the Da Vinci Code, and that was starting off pretty good. I got into it, and then another one I started reading was, oh no, Andrew, I did start an autobiography sitting over on the end table. It's in my pile of putting back to the little library. I have to pull it out. It is autobiography, a memoir. So I'm thinking a memoir is like an autobiography. Yeah. So I've got that one there, and I started that one. So I've got two books on the go, and I've given both of them two chapters, and I'm interested in both. But I think I went right into the Da Vinci Code because I did have my autobiography that I had started reading in my giveaway pile. Silly me. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to have to make sure when I go to take the books, I'll make a point of pulling that one out because I had just started the book. I was only a few chapters into it. Okay, let's come down here. I was watching um, Nosferatu. I never heard of that recently. The 1922 silent film Creepy. Recently, a little bit of the lost 1917 Cleopatra starring Theda Bara was found. Really? I saw a little clip of that one of Cleopatra. I think what was it that Elizabeth Taylor's costume designer was actually using her of the original films kind of as inspiration for Elizabeth Taylor's costumes in the movie. Oh my goodness, that movie Cleo! I used to love. I call them Bible movies, even though I don't think Cleopatra really was. I don't think it had any religious factors to it all, but because it came out at the same time as the Ten Commandments and Ben Hur and what was some of the other ones? Bardicus, was it Bardicus? And I'm trying to think, Samson and Delilah. There were lots of Bible movies that came out in that era. The same era, I think, is when the musicals were really, really popular, right? And then the musicals, they had a little comeback in the 90s, didn't they? With High School Musical and and what was that one with John Travolta in it? Oh, I can't remember it. John Travolta and and oh my goodness, I forgot her name already. I'd have to be reminded of him. But he did it. He did quite a few musicals. John Travolta did. I don't know if he was actually a singer at any time or if he just kind of walked into that experience and enjoyed it so much that he decided to do musicals after that. Because I had it right. Excalibur? No, I can't remember. Right, and then the one when the high school, he was in the high school, right, with that other famous singer. Oh my goodness, my memory is going back. It's not a very good memory in any way, but I remembered those movies. But Cleopatra, what a great movie that was, right? I just love those old movies in that era. They were like they were so majestic too, like they were so put lots of money into them. This when Technicolor just came out. Yeah, I really loved those movies. I was always a movie person. I don't know what happened in that. Well, uh, let's see. Do 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 do. Um, does anyone know if you end up popping out a bit of blood every couple of days? Is that normal? Oh my goodness. No, that's not normal, dear. You get yourself to a doctor immediately. That is one of the main signs of bowel cancer, right? One of the main signs. It could be hemorrhoids, but you don't know until you have it checked out, right? You don't know until you get it checked out. And I'm glad you asked that question there, and I hope that you go see a doctor. Yeah, thank you, Tammy. Yes, definitely. If something like that is happening, you definitely go to a doctor, right? And I hope it is. I hope it is hemorrhoids, and all you need is a tube of cream. But yeah, that's one of the main signs. Oh, yeah, you see, even Tammy says here that it could be hemorrhoids. One, right? Tammy is our healthcare worker here, right? She's a nurse. Like she can, in an emergency, if we have questions, right, that she can advise us. In that, grateful that Tammy is here with us to keep us up to date, not to give out bad advice when it comes to our health too, right? Oh, and Andrew is doing his diaries. I wonder if that could be converted into an autobiography. But yeah, writing is so amazing, and it was very popular. I remember even as a teenager or a young kid, I was always getting diaries, right, for birthday presents and Christmas presents and stuff. But I think those diaries were given to me so that my parents could find them and get the tidbits on what was going on with their kids, right? It's one of the reasons why my dad loved the country drive so much, because we were all in the car, right? That we couldn't get away, and he would ask about school and friends and problems and stuff, and that would be how he would do his parenting in that was like in our Sunday drives that we would do. He really loved the family outings. We I can't imagine, that kids are not doing that, especially when everybody has cars now, right? That it is something very fabulous because your kids aren't going to jump out of the car. They're not jumping out of the window or anything. So you've got your kids' attention, right? Right? Yes, your kids have got your attention, but it's a good way to connect with your children, right? To find out what's going on with them, right? What's going on with them. You got to take interest in your kids, what's going on in your lives, because the kids are being brought up to be tough, to keep the problems to themselves, right? That softness to let them know that, right, that it's okay to show your soft side. Like nobody's going to know that you have a problem unless you express your problem. And you could think you have a very, very serious, serious problem, but if you don't express that, now this is a funny story, but at the same time, it could have been a different story, right? And you guys, as soon as I mentioned this, I had a garden when we lived in Edmonton, me and my husband. I had a garden. The only thing in the gardens that survived were the cucumbers, the squashes, and the beets. I didn't take care. I thought I would enjoy gardening. I didn't enjoy gardening, but I did have a very, very big garden. And those were the few things that did survive. So I decided I had a lot of stuff in that garden: the beets, the the cucumbers, and the squashes. And I pickled everything. I gave everything away. I pickled everything. And we ate beets with every single meal, right? Pickled beets was on the side of plate every single meal that I made. My husband was peeing out red for like a month, and he didn't even put two and two together. He didn't recognize that he was peeing red because of the beets that he was eating. He thought he was dying, and he didn't want to tell me, right? And he broke down in the end and let me know. And I just laughed because I was doing the same thing. I was peeing the red too, right? But I knew it was from the beets that we were eating. It didn't even cross my mind that he didn't recognize that it wasn't from the beets. The poor guy suffered for like a month, like emotionally and mentally. He suffered and didn't tell anybody for a month until he broke down and told me, and I started laughing. I started laughing at him, right? It was cute, it was kind of sweet, but I bet you it that, and I know for sure that it was such a sense of relief to hear that it wasn't anything serious, right? But yeah, 7 days. Make sure you go and see your doctor. I know if you're from the States, right? People, they don't have that opportunity just to go to a walking clinic to have these things checked out. So we would much rather get advice from people, right? And take care of it themselves. But some things, right? As much as we can think that we're experts in things, they're just symptoms. And a symptom could be something serious, or it can be, right? Pickled beets, right? So I'm wishing you well. I hope it works out well. And if it costs you a little bit of money to go see a doctor, you go see a doctor. I'm sure, like, there are, like, I heard there were like trailers and stuff that drive into neighborhoods for people to get medical attention and stuff. So maybe you can go to something like that. Maybe you can Google it online, that maybe you can get some assistance at no cost. That would be absolutely amazing. It's one thing that I'm really feel bad about the Americans, that they act tough, right? They pretend that nothing's going on, and because things are so expensive, and the Medicare is so crappy, that they don't get the help and advice that they need until it's so late sometimes that there's nothing that can be done. And yet, at that moment, you're throwing everything up against the wall like a piece of wet spaghetti to see what will stick. And in the end, you're going to spend that money anyway, right? But yeah, get some attention to that, dear, for sure. Um, The Ten Commandments. Yeah, I love Charlton Heston. Anything that Charlton Heston was in, I was. Oh, Olivia Newton John. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. What was the name of the movie, though, Tammy? Do you know the name of the movie? Um, with John Travolta that she did. She did two musical movies for sure that I, well, she did a few, but I, those were the two movies that I can remember, and I don't remember the title of either of them. Yeah, to be honest. Uh, Cleopatra was actually supposed to be two movies, but was blended into one. Production nearly wiped out 20th Century Fox. Then Marilyn Monroe died while making a movie. She turns 100 years old tomorrow. Oh my goodness. And she's still so popular, isn't she? When you walk into a store and stuff, you can still buy posters and pictures and, right? And her movies are still really popular. And people talk about Marilyn Monroe all the time. I know when I worked at that little thrift store, we used to do auctions in the window all the time. And we used to get so much Marilyn Monroe stuff that there was always a Marilyn Monroe auction going on. And her auctions would, oh, people would spend big money for the pictures and the little movie posters because she used to be able to send an envelope with a return envelope with a stamp on it, and you might be able to get a picture with a signature on it. My sister used to do that all the time, and we used to go actually to all the marathons and stuff just to collect autographs from all the movie stars. And all those signatures would be worth so much money now, but after a while we think these things are insignificant and we end up throwing them away and stuff, don't we? And I remember I had all the Star Trek cast, all their signatures, Mr. Rogers and Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, and oh my goodness, I can't even think of all the famous people that I had signatures for, and then just didn't think anything of them. But if you had them now, right, they would be worth a little bit of money, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would be. But they gave out lots of signatures. I Right, these big stars and famous people, they did a lot of signatures, and they kind of made their signatures not worth a lot of money, like these people who do the Comic Con and stuff like that. They made their signatures not worth anything. Like the guy who did Charlie Brown and um, oh my goodness, I can't even think because I never go to those conventions, right? I will be going to the RV convention this fall for sure. But yeah, I was never big on conventions. Conventions were very expensive to start with, but they just never tooted my horn. I was never a collector, really. I'm very eclectic, right? But go to a convention, it would probably have to be a crystal convention. I'm sure they have crystal shows, right? I would do a crystal show. I would do the RV show, but I think that would be pretty much the only thing that I would do. But it depends on our interests. We all have different interests, don't we? Right? That some people like to go to the car shows, the flower shows, the home renovation shows, right? There are all kinds of different conventions, the Comic Cons, the ones where the animals, you dress up like the animals with the fluffy animals. I don't know what they're called. There's a special name for them. They're characters that are very popular. And then there's the anime shows, right? There's and not to mention all the game card, like the hockey cards and the Pac-Man shows, and right, there are a lot of, it all depends on your interest, right? But it would have to be a very big interest to make it so that it would be financially viable to put on these shows, right? Um, Elizabeth Taylor was terrific. After the library at Alexandria was burned, she said to Caesar something about, what right does a barbarian like you have to destroy a single human thought? Oh, I love that, Andrew. Wow. I'm just going to see if I can just copy and paste that. That's pretty amazing. Oh, I can. Oh, I don't have a copy. Oh, no, I can't. But I can come back because I leave the live up and I can write that down after my live show. I love that quote. And it is kind of like a quote. It should be said more often, right? To a single thought because everybody matters. Everybody has a unique experience, and everybody, even as a small man, even as somebody who's insignificant and not famous or a celebrity, has something to contribute. And Tammy was with me earlier this week when I told that story of that employee that we had, right? That little 16-year-old kid. He was lazier than anything, right? He was absolutely useless. But he had one of my quotes, which is my mission statement, one of my two mission statements in my brand, that it takes all kinds to make the world, right? Everybody has something to contribute. Yeah, I love that, Andrew. That's amazing. The British author W. Somerset, I can't pronounce these names, Maham, said that if you keep a diary after a while, it keeps you. Ah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Remember how cars used to have built-in ashtrays and cigarette lighters? I remember that. And, now those cigarette lighters we use for inserts so that we can plug in our USBs and our phones and stuff now, right? So they haven't gotten rid of the cigarette lighter, but I think you actually have to buy a cigarette insert. Otherwise, they just leave it blank and that people just shove in those little USB things so that they can charge their phones in them. But yeah, I like Andrew's quotes and his thoughts too. He's pretty. Greece. Thank you, Tammy. Oh my goodness, she even knew the year 1978. I wish I could remember the other one. X wasn't Excalibur. It was something like that though. Yes, Andrew's brain is full of odds and ends. And I think, Tammy has a brain like that too, Andrew, right? Yeah, it's neat. We have similarities. We're all unique, but there are similarities in our interests and in the way that we have our brains working, right? Marilyn Monroe's belongings sold for a fortune back in 96. I've seen her wearing a necklace of glass pendants, probably cost her around $10, but it sold for 52,500. Don't forget the 500. $52,500. Isn't that neat? Because it was around Marilyn Monroe's neck. Remember when Elvis Presley used to sing and dance and then he'd take his handkerchief and he would wipe his face with the handkerchief and the women would be all fighting, right, for these handkerchiefs? And what was it? Oh, who was that singer? Tom Jones. Tom Jones used to have, oh, no, what's up? Tom Jones used to have ladies' underwears thrown at him. And he would wipe his forehead with the ladies' underwear and he'd throw them back at the audience. And then again, women would fight all over for them. Yeah. Xanadu, thank you, Andrew. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was driving me a little bit bonkers. But when you said that, another movie that came into my mind that was a musical, but it was in the 90s. Like things get revived all the time, right? Was that one? Oh my goodness, I'm going to do it again. The ABBA movie. What was that called? Was it called ABBA? No, it wasn't called ABBA. but it was a musical where they used all the songs that ABBA put out there. Yes, Xanadu. I remember that one. Remember the song too. Oh my goodness. I caught up with all the comments, you guys. I stayed on top of them. Third week in a row. How incredible is that? Amazing. You guys. And on top of that, it's 9:02, right? We're going to end it at the proper time tonight. Oh my goodness. We talked a little bit about everything tonight, right? That was kind of nice. This is why I love my Sundays, that we can just all be a little bit of a community and just share in our interests and in the thoughts of the moment. I'm sorry again that I left you to my scenery, right? While I ran downstairs to get rid of this great big cooler. It didn't quite work out, but you guys, life is what happens while you're making Mamma Mia. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, team. Right, with all the songs from ABBA. I like that movie too, and that was also early 2000. So musicals are still being made, aren't they? Right, in the 70s, it was like Jesus Christ Superstar. That was a musical too, wasn't it? And there was also Barbara Streisand was doing some musicals also around that time. Musicals have not gone away. They have evolved, and it's not like every single movie out there is a musical, but they're still around, aren't they? Okay, you guys. I got some art burn. I got to find myself a Rolade, make myself another cup of coffee. Super cold. I thank you all. Awesome. Spectacular job, Cindy. Way to go there, reading all the comments. Yeah, that's the third week in a row. That is a rarity for me. And especially now that you guys are right. Tammy is just as much as a yapper as anybody out there, and I stayed up on top of it. Yeah, I got to get better at jogging my memory when it comes to these actresses and these movies if I'm going to talk about them, because I can't be going blank all the time. You did not leave us, Cindy. We had your we had your apartment with us, and we all had each other. Oh my goodness. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I will make a point of making sure that that doesn't happen again. I thought, right, I would have said no. I told you I wasn't going to be available. Sorry. But because when she said, I'm here, I went, oh my goodness. And she went all the way from a long distance, and she's here. Then I better run down there, and I'll do it really, really fast. And I stood there and I just messaged her back. I says, where are you? Right? She messaged me back. She goes, I'm on my way now. Then why did you tell me that you were here? Right? Seriously. Okay, you guys. But it's all over. It's done. Right? It's done. You never cry over spilt milk. Right? Once it's done, it's done. You say you're sorry. You clean up the mess. You give yourself a little giggle. Say, we'll try again tomorrow. You guys, have a great night. Thank you so much for coming into my live. If you want to give me a thumbs up before you leave, if you haven't done so yet, that would be much appreciated. I will be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock if you want to come in for Chatters Live. If not, I'll see you all next Sunday. Have a great night.